I am pleased to have a guest from Collins. Mark, tell me what's the latest and greatest at Collins, and of course we can get right into your announcements at the MPI from 2 days ago.
Sure. So, Collins, we've always been trying to push the forefront of technology, as you said. We've had our avionics products in the market in this segment for
I've sat behind
several
many
decades.
of them.
That's right. So ProLine 421, ProLine Fusion have been staples for many operators for some time.
Oh, I go back to much earlier versions of that.
That's right. And then in recent years, we've had a lot of interest in the cabin segment with our venue product line and some of the stage and applications that go along with that. And so that's really been a hot seller here in the last few years as connectivity has really ramped up. And so that's really our new product introduction here this week has been our Venue Smart Monitor. So we announced that as a new product this week here at the show. And it's something that has really been born out of feedback from our existing customers. So our venue products are kind of complex systems that are really kind of designed for larger cabin aircraft. And this allows us to do kind of two things. Number one, it brings 4K resolution to our, and this is a mock-up about what the size of it is. Brings 4K resolution to display technology into the cabin. And it also provides an entry point for us to provide a standalone solution in smaller aircraft such as turboprops and very light jets, where we have traditionally been challenged because of the complexity of the venue system. So really some of the benefits of the Venue Smart Monitor, I mentioned the 4K display resolution. It also brings a 4 terabyte solid state hard drive, which allows for storage right on the device itself. And that eliminates some extra equipment that we have to provide today in the form of a file server or similar, allows that all to be born right into the unit itself. So that's very exciting for us. And then we also bring some additional DisplayPort technology with HDMI inputs, and then providing for different applications for the future with that a processor that's built right into the unit. And so what that really allows us to do is consolidate a lot of the hardware we have in our venue installations today, put that into one standalone unit, and then that really simplifies the installation for a lot of the MROs and shops out there.
And just as important, keeps the downtime down to a dull roar.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Excellent.
And for some of the smaller operators, one of the big appeals is air show has been a staple in our product line as well as a moving map display for the cabin for some time. And some of those products are getting a little long in the tooth, and so with the 4K resolution and the simplicity of this unit, it allows us to enter into that smaller segment with a standalone airshow replacement, which we call airshow HD. So this single unit can provide all of the capability that we have today in a 3-box system that eliminates the need for underfloor wiring and that file storage unit I mentioned earlier.
So no ripping out interiors or anything?
For some aircraft, that'll very much be the case.
Whoa, that's a major money saver.
That's right, and we'll eliminate woodwork for a lot of people as well when they're installed in a seating arrangement as well.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. I imagine that's going to be on a number of people's lists coming off the MPI. Excellent. What else new is happening around the Collins world?
Well, as I mentioned, we've been very focused on connectivity and some of the options. Another thing we're showcasing here this week is
horrendously competitive part of the industry right now.
For sure.
I'm waiting to see people get baseball bats out at this point.
Well, we haven't resorted to that just yet, but
it's coming.
Yeah, it may be. we certainly a lot of the buzz with some new folks entering the market. And really where we've been trying to focus is on the utility of the connectivity rather than the connection itself. I mean, as you said, there's only so much you can do in that space. So where we see a lot of the opportunity is in the handheld, portable electronic devices that people are using, iPads and the like, and the ability to use that connectivity and provide more of an interactive experience to the operator. So our Venue app for iPad, for example, pairs with the Venue Smart Monitor and provides control and display of a lot of the options that we have. And then it also provides the connectivity through, whatever your source happens to be for the aircraft itself, whether it's us or one of the other options you mentioned. So, and then we're also showing how we can wirelessly transfer things like flight plans and so forth to our ProLine Fusion system. You know, if you're using a flight planning app like Airink Direct, which we supply, or a ForeFlight, or take your pick, being able to wirelessly transfer what you're working on pre-flight to the cockpit itself once you sit down and strap in. That's just a measure of simplicity that I think is the market is pretty much becoming market expectation at this point. So we've introduced a new product which uses a portable USB device to bring that into some of our legacy cockpits as well. So that's been, the reaction to that has been very positive as well.
Well, Collins has such a legacy in regards to servicing this part of the industry. I've got to imagine it must be a lot of fun around the office when people are given the go-ahead to start dreaming up the next product and so forth, with the amount of institutional knowledge you've built to this point. But how is the Collins of old being reflected in the Collins of today?
Well, it's a great point. You know, so that legacy of excellence really, you know, dating back to, you know, the North Pole expeditions and so forth, where, you know, Art Collins made his name. We're still carrying that legacy through, and the evolution of electromechanical HSIs and ADIs in the 50s and 60s, and migrating that into the digital revolution in the 90s, and then into, you know, really the software revolution of the 2000s. That is, we're continuing with that. And I think one of the trends that we're finding is that we're beginning to hear a piece of feedback from the market that they're looking for more control and ownership of some of the software options that the avionics providers have traditionally, you know, owned and provided. So, you know, there are a lot of app developers out there. There's an app for everything now on your phone, and I think there is very much an appeal to having avionics systems work in that same way. So we're starting some foundational work in that space as well, and hopefully in a couple of years we'll be sitting here talking about a new wave of products that take that to the next level. So
there you go. Well, one of the big questions from those of us in the pilot community is, where does ProLine go at this point?
Yep, ProLine's going to continue.
Oh no, ProLine will be here long after the rest of us are dust. Let's face it. But I mean, there's some things in this world you can count on, and that's one of them. But I mean, what is the future of that development program?
So we are constantly adding new STCs and new platforms to really both of our mainline, you know, variations right now. ProLine 21's been around for, you know, 20 plus years. And believe it or not, we're still adding new platforms to that. And then ProLine Fusion being the newest of the two. And you know, those are more complex developments because of the, you know, increased display area and so forth. So we're still doing that. And you know, those new functions and platforms come out seemingly on a daily basis. So at some point we will pivot, as I mentioned, to, you know, a newer form of technology, and you know, maybe I'll drop a little hint here, a new variation of the ProLine theme. So more to follow on that, but that is in the works. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to seeing that. As I said, having sat behind many of your panels at various times and points in my career, it's just always fun to look back at what you have versus what you have now and just kind of go, gee whiz, cool, and go from there.
Yeah.
Pretty neat. How are you folks integrating within the AAM and UAM spaces?
Yeah, that's a very interesting, you know, you mentioned connectivity being sort of the wild, wild west, and that's another area that's very similar.
AAM in particular is just, it's the bloodbath of the future. The big thing is that whatever survives all that is going to be what changes aviation. For
sure, and I think our view is at this point, you know, we have traditionally gone for the larger multi-place cockpits where, you know, the operator really appreciates the benefit of a more complex system, right? And frankly, in those smaller platforms, we're not as competitive from a size, weight, and power. So we're really focusing on the automation applications and some of our, you know, air data probes and sensors, which are commonplace throughout the market. So those are kind of the two places where we're focused. You know, my personal opinion, I think the AAM market, there are just so many entrants. Just the economics, it's not possible for all of them to make it, right? And that's a dogfight.
95% of them are going to kill each other off.
Probably.
It's the survivors that are going to be interested.
That's right. And as those companies, die off and are sold, and the technology that remains will benefit all of us.
Bingo. So that's been a major item of conversation these last couple of days. What remains, and how it affects us all.
That's right.
The airplanes and air transportation systems of the future.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about single pilot operations and simplified vehicle operations now.
There's always the dog in the pilot operation we've been talking about. Bring the dog along and to bite the pilot if he touches anything.
That's right.
The automation aspect is fascinating and worrisome both at the same time.
Yes, agreed.
We'll have to see what comes of it all. Although, if Alpha gets its way, nothing will be touched. We'll see. I've been watching them fight that one out, and I'm just sitting there in the background going, go for it. We'll see. It's, you look at what we're fighting right now, and they want to take the safety system, the ultimate safety system out, which is a trained pilot. You just kind of wonder. And what you really want that trained pilot to have is the best gear in the world to be able to work their way out of whatever occurs. So we shall see.
I think about single pilot operations really the same way that I think about single engine operations in a multi-engine environment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're designing a multi-engine airplane, you have to be able to prove to the certification authorities that the airplane can still fly on one engine. That doesn't mean that you're going to intentionally operate it on one engine. I think single pilot is going to evolve the same way. So if the level of automation that it takes to fly with a single pilot doesn't mean that that's what you're going to do as normal operation. But when the other guy is incapacitated or is out of the flight deck for whatever reason for a period of time, and then an emergency happens, the automation is there to assist the person that is sitting there. So I think that's how it's going to manifest itself. And frankly, I think some of the excitement about people fearing losing their jobs, I think it's a little bit misplaced. It's just technology for the purpose that it's intended.
Indeed. In your attendance here at AEA 2024, what's been your observation on the health of the community and the people that you're talking to? What are they telling you?
Yeah, I think it's been very encouraging. I think the turnout has been very good. We are seeing, we have a robust, network of dealers, over 300, that sell our products into the space, and we've seen more of them actually exhibiting here than we have in the past, and I think that's a positive sign of.
Well, they have a record for exhibitors.
Yes, yeah, for sure, and end users as well. So, getting to interact directly with some of the operators was sort of an unexpected benefit, I guess, of the show this year. So, in terms of the feedback that they're giving us, we've mentioned we had a lot of positive feedback about the new product and the Venue Smart Monitor. A lot of people talking about connectivity and cabin management systems, certainly. A little less so, I would say, on the front end avionics and some of the, sort of human-machine interface ideas with pilots. But certainly, that's been a staple as well. So. It certainly appears to me like, we've been talking about a settling of the market as we kind of return to post-pandemic economic situation, but it appears to me like we're poised for another run-up.
No, that's every inclination I'm hearing right now, which is exciting for the industry, but other aspects of the industry are starting to feel the same way, and on the light side with the advent of Mosaic and everything else, this could be a very interesting industry for the next few years, at least.
Agreed.
At least, and we're hoping interesting in a good way, so we shall see. Mark, I can't thank you enough for spending time with us here on Aero News and at AEA Live. If you would, keep us up to date on what's the latest and greatest out there. If you got any new great Proline toys to play with, call me. I'm your man, and we'll be up there in no time flat. I sure appreciate your time.
Thanks so much.
Aero-News Network's coverage of the 67th Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show, live from Grapevine, Texas, is brought to you in part by the following sponsors: